You guys are live.
We're live, baby.
We're live, baby.
Let's go.
Oh no.
Tommy Adams.
Oh, there's few things like coffee in this world, man.
What's up, guys? Welcome into another DNBA Live Quarantine Edition. We've got half of Adam's head there.
Yeah.
We'll introduce him later. Yeah.
I would say it's the worst, the lesser half of his head. It's the gray part.
Yeah.
See, now I wish I bet you wish you were 5'6" now. Not so funny. You ogre.
We've got to my bottom left, D-line, Eric Weedham.
That's what's going on, everybody. Apparently, I'm wearing a hat that is akin to what Michael Jordan would wear in the 90s, according to these
You're wearing
ridiculous
a Peaky hat.
millennials. No, that's not the same thing. Anyway, go ahead.
I think it's in the same.
Take that L on the
I
way
think it's
out.
in the same
No.
category of hats.
No, it's not.
It is in the same category of hats.
No, it's
Thank
not.
you.
No, it's not. No,
Thank
I'm
you.
not.
I am the deciding vote now. I'm deciding.
How is
so,
that-
Eric,
no.
you were out on this one.
You're a guest. You're not. You can't make a decision.
Yeah, that voice you're hearing is TJ McBride from Mile High Sports. TJ, what's going on, man?
What's up, guys? It's great to see all your faces. Well, not Adam's face, but everybody else's face.
Yeah, dude, I miss you. This is TJ. This is easily the least we've seen each other in a
It's
2-month
weird.
stretch.
It's
There was a-
very bizarre.
There was a time where it was every day, man, and now I'm like, sometimes I'm like, what's that absent? What's that silence? Like, why aren't my ears ringing? I need TJ screaming.
Do you just
right
wake
next
up
to
at
my head.
midnight to like thinking of texts of me trying to get you out to the bar out of nowhere for
Yeah,
no good
exactly.
reason? And like, yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
100%.
Just phantom TJ in my ear.
That other voice is Brendan Vogt, of course, and we are presented by Illegal Pete's as always. TJ, let's get an air horn from you.
I don't
we
have
need
an
it.
air
We need it.
Was that better?
All right.
Okay, I
Okay.
think we got some room for progress. All right.
It sounded
Yeah,
more
like
like a mating call, a vague
You know,
mating
my-
call of some kind.
You know what my favorite part about this bit is that every single person that you ask to do an air horn is like, I don't have an air horn, and then they
I've
immediately
never
go into
once
it.
done an air horn with my mouth.
Oh, it's like the most uncomfortable thing ever, but you just got to do it when you come on the show.
It is a fantastic, like, just throw you into the water to learn how to swim kind of thing, for sure.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
You know who had a surprisingly terrible one?
Kendra.
Superstar Dev. It was awful. Very weak performance from Dev.
Yeah, it was the first one and maybe the worst. But,
Yeah, it might be.
might
My
be
heart
going up from
rolled it
there.
down strong with the air horn.
Yeah, TJ, what have you been up to, man? We haven't seen you since God knows when. I mean,
I
what's
haven't
going on?
seen anybody. I have been inside. I have been becoming the ultimate version of nerd of myself between video games and watching too much Star Wars and just sitting and not moving, which, as you guys know me, is not exactly how I function. So it's been a little bit of insanity on my part in cabin fever, but we're making it through.
I like
Yeah.
that you have. I like that you like wiped and have now started the beard over.
Yes, I boredom shaved my beard off. So that's where we're
Yeah,
at. Like,
what went into that decision? What is it, just boredom?
listen, the beard always comes back in better after you shave it. You can regrow it. It's always a
Facts.
good thing. And I'm going to be inside for months. So if there's a time to not be a part of the public and also shave my beard, it's the perfect time to do so.
True.
Yeah. I couldn't.
I felt like it was a calculated decision.
I felt like this is such a gift to those of us who have dreamed of growing a beard but have never had the social space to do it. You can't just like show up to work
I know.
with like a patchy, terrible beard.
I know.
So this is my opportunity to see what I've got going on. So TJ, as a beard aficionado, as a beard expert, rate this beard.
Ooh, I'm going to give it a solid 2.7 out of 10.
Wow.
But this mostly comes away from the bias regarding the Jordan hat Eric Weedham
I know.
debacle
This is
from earlier. So you're
this
not
is
exactly winning points.
I just realized that I'm gonna take a real beating on the show today.
You started it. You walked into this.
How is that any different than any other episode?
I'm saying normally it's bad, but like I'm really prepping today.
It
You
is
might
better
have
than
to
a
you might have to
2.7.
shave your beard and start over after that comment.
Is that the goal? Are we going to see how far we can get him before he just shaves it on the show live?
Dude.
No.
Henry Chisholm of the NVR Buffs recently cut his hair with his lawnmower 3.0 from Manscaped. So just so you know, your quarantine boredom nowhere near the worst it gets.
So, not to plug too hard, but Manscaped is also the sponsor of the Blue Wire podcast, and I have to do that read. And in that read, it specifically says to not use it on your face or your head. I don't
Wait,
know what
really?
to do. Yes, it does.
Wow.
Yeah.
Henry
good.
chiming in already, and it worked. He's really
Bro, Amazon exists. Order a $30 pair of clippers. What are we doing right now?
Well, why? I mean, Amazon exists, but he clearly had the tool to get the job done right there. And Henry, we didn't talk about this, but I'm gonna, for my own sanity, assume that was fresh out of the package. That was the first time you'd use it on any body part.
I don't want to assume
It wasn't.
right now in this part of the conversation.
Weirdest part, his hair looked amazing. He looked
That's
so
what
good.
I mean.
Those ceramic blades, man, they are very functional.
They
Can
really
you guys
are.
see my screen right now?
Yes.
Check out
No.
this guy from last night's show.
I can't.
Let's see.
Oh no, what is going to happen?
We're trying to get Henry up on the screen, baby. Hank.
I love this show, by the way, guys. The complete just
I don't know why it's not
just
working.
completely go off the rails. It's much
Yeah,
more
yeah.
enjoyable.
Thanks, man.
Well, anyway, we were doing our DNVR draft stream last night, and Henry's hair was just like absolutely on point. It was
So
incredible.
on point,
So
It
the
was-
real
it
question is how jealous was Brendan throughout
Very.
the process of talking about Henry's hair repeatedly?
No, I've given up on. I've been wearing a hat. I haven't washed my hair in 3 weeks. It's like my image is down the drain.
Can we get a Birdman mohawk? An impromptu Birdman mohawk?
Yeah.
At least nobody here looks like DJ Khaled. That's all that we have to hope for. He looks like Castaway right now. That's a not showered in 3 days mohawk right there.
No, I don't know. Like the last impromptu Birdman mohawk we got from Brendan, like stuck. And
Yeah, well, you know what happened is, bits aside, I actually did shower this morning. Last time I hadn't showered in a
I
month.
showered too.
I
Dude, high
do
five.
too.
Yeah.
Look at us, guys. Normalcy.
I didn't know that it was going to be a brag session.
Yeah.
I actually also showered. I showered.
I'm just desperately trying to redeem myself after taking the biggest L of quarantine last night. I'm trying to reshape my whole image from start to finish.
Oh my God! Do you know what?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, let's talk
What
about it.
happened?
Because if I don't talk about it
Do you know what the
publicly,
biggest L taken in quarantine last night that was taken by Brendan Vogt was?
I need to hear this.
What was that?
We were all on a Zoom call behind the scenes coordinating for the production of the NFL draft show. We were having conversations like, oh, there's an interesting tweet, send it over, making graphics, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I
And then
turned mine
somehow
off
in-
for 30 minutes.
And then somehow in the process of that, Brendan forgot how things work, like computers and cameras.
Forgot I was on the
internet,
live. I forgot I was
Zoom.
on the Zoom.
Brendan did the thing that you only hear about, like, as a meme. Brendan
I
went-
took it into the bathroom. I took the draft stream into the bathroom so I could live tweet it because I knew I was going to be in there for a while. I had their audio and my audio on the Zoom chat muted for 30 minutes. So I had it was behind 3 windows. I didn't even know it was up. And
Brendan revealed to the group something you can only refer
This
to
is
as
incredible.
full frontal.
I literally
what?
just look.
Oh
If it's
my
Adam,
God.
it's Eric, and it's Kale, and it's Guy. I can live with that. Those are my people. We've all been to battle together.
Yeah, the social team has been through some stuff together.
But Eric's business partner Blaze, who I don't know well, or I should say,
You do now.
I didn't know
Stranger
well.
level.
Yeah,
He knows you.
yeah, we know each other now.
Yeah,
So-
the funny thing was, is like I was working on graphics and like not really paying attention, and all of a sudden Blaze, who was on mute, like popped in, like, "Whoa, what's going on there, Brendan?" And Brendan wasn't able to hear us
Because
so
it was muted, so he had no idea.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like
it just
if
kept going on.
if I heard your voices, I never would have done it. Like I'm not that lost.
Jeez.
So
This is like a bad sitcom episode of what happens in quarantine.
I just want you to know, like,
No.
however bad quarantine goes,
This
for
is like
you,
a Big Bang Theory episode
Yeah,
happening in
it
real
should-
time.
the
It really
moment when I realized, oh fuck, that Zoom might still be up. Sorry
Yeah.
for cursing, but
Yeah,
that's where I was at mentally. And so-
Yeah.
I don't know if you can ever live that down. Like that's going to be something we remember for
That's-
years and years and years.
I try. I
This is
have to come out
incredible.
now and address it publicly.
yeah,
because if I
it's
don't,
better. It's better that you just get it out in the open.
So,
I'm so happy I'm here for this moment, guys. I cannot begin to explain to you.
I hate it.
Thank you to all of DNVR for allowing me on this chat, so I
almost
can
quit.
be a part of this 3 minutes. Like, I don't think you understand.
We'll put it on the timeline, though. We'll put the poll out. Like, which is the better new nickname for Brendan? A, Bird Boy, obviously, or B, Full Frontal.
The worst part, it was embarrassing showing for me, you know?
Yeah, apparently it's very cold where Brendan lives.
Yeah, that's not. It gets bigger.
Yeah. Well, that stream was only up last night because we had our NFL draft show going, which was a freaking banger, if I might say so myself. Man, that thing killed it.
Travis got on Fortnite levels. I see you.
Yeah. That was awesome last night. The draft was a lot of fun. Any thoughts on the NFL draft, TJ?
0. I didn't even watch it.
Okay, that's what I was planning on. That's what I was expecting. That's what I was expecting.
You really got to watch the coverage that like Ryan and all these guys that actually know football.
No, I hopped into a couple streams and stuff. So I saw you go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, like, the way they talk about it, you're like, because I came on at the end and they were like, hey, Eric, what do you think of this draft? And I was like, I don't know any of these players. Like, I don't pay attention to the draft at all. Like 0. Like, I don't want to learn 400 guys that I ultimately have to know 5 of, right? Like, you guys spend your time learning about those guys. And then when I have to learn about them, then I'll like worry about it. But like, they were so hyped, and Andre Simone knows so much about the draft. It is jarring, and so it's like awesome to hear people that are like really excited about it and really informed and like really entertaining. So I got like really hyped about it by night's end. It was cool.
By the time that I started seeing these takes roll in, when I saw comparing him to Marvin Harrison, like that does go back to when I knew football. Like that's a name. That's a real heavy comparison right now. And from what I watched, and actually I saw the film study that went up today, and like from what I've seen, like real possession explosive receiver, it's the perfect kind of guy to put next to a big player guy like Cortland Sutton. So
and he's got a great name too, Jerry Jeudy. That's an A+ name, man.
Yes,
that's a superstar name.
That's a fan favorite in waiting kind of name. Like that's gonna go off.
No, so, sorry, go ahead, Eric.
I was gonna say, so here's a weird thing. He is featured in a couple images I've seen wearing a Star of David necklace.
Yeah.
Is he a member of the tribe,
he is not.
Is he because his last name is Judy?
It's the second one.
Well, that's
So I actually know the entire backstory on this because my job on the stream was to research random stuff about Jerry Jeudy. The story about the Star of David thing is he does have the Star of David because his nickname is apparently Jew. That is factual. That is 100% correct. But inside the Star of David is a picture of his younger sister Aaliyah, who died when she was like 7 from health complications.
Well, I'm certainly upset that I brought this up there. This is uncomfortable.
So that's the story on it, to get it out there. I know everybody was dying.
I have to interject hold on. Because I left this show for 13 minutes, and it's now a football podcast. What happened here? What is going on?
Harrison pulled a Jake Marsing. That happened in real time.
Do not put my name in the same sentence as Jake Marsing.
But hold on.
That's my guy Jake. I love Jake.
Does this mean we need to convince Christian Clark to wear a cross at all times, regardless of his faith?
Oh my gosh. Like just a picture of Jokic in the middle.
You know what a baller move would be if Harrison had a wind turbine tattoo? That's a flex.
That's not a bad idea.
We need to make this to happen. Like we need to like.
Hey, you give me enough money, it just might happen.
Yeah,
enough money, it just might happen.
Next time you want to donate to DNVR, just donate to Harrison's tattoo fund instead. Just
the sad thing is for Harrison, enough money to make that happen is literally like $50.
Yeah, my
false. Totally false.
At the tribe.
Totally false.
As soon as things open back up, we can get this rolling.
I mean, if I got a wind turbine tattoo, I would A, become single again. B,
but you'd be ready.
I guess that's the only downside. So.
Why are you holding him back? What is going on? We gotta work on it.
You know what? He's holding him back.
Yeah. No, the NFL draft got me actually kind of stoked for the NBA draft. I know that's right up TJ's alley, though.
Yeah, I'm so happy to finally be able to like get into prospects again because we haven't really been able to the past couple of years because the Nuggets have been in the thick of it. So it's going to be nice to kind of get back into it when they have a draft pick, when it's actually going to be usable because they're going to be up against the cap or up against the luxury tax. Like that's going to be an important pick to a degree. So I'm actually excited to get into it.
Is this draft, though, everything I heard, I haven't really thought about the NBA draft for a while, but what I heard back in like November and December was that this was a pretty bad draft. Like, especially at the top, the players aren't that great. Maybe a handful of maybe role players. Is that still the case?
Yeah, there's a lot of role players that if you have a smart front office that you can hit on for like particular needs. Like this is going to favor smart front offices in my opinion. I haven't gotten into it enough to really be able to like give you good names right now. But at the same time, like, if there's a lot of guys, Obi Toppin is a guy that could fly up draft boards and then fall really quickly because he's so raw that you might see, Tim Connolly swing on, but we'll see. There's a lot of role players and a lot of potential high upside guys that also have very low floors. So it's going to favor guys who draft for fit, in my opinion.
This draft is going to be absolutely ridiculous.
So ridiculous.
With nobody being able to like really meet these guys, the scouting process being tight. I mean, think about if the Nuggets go into the playoff, they do bring everything back. The Nuggets go into the playoffs and it's like these 3-game series and the coaching staff is not sleeping and just like surviving on like speed and adrenaline. And then you have like, okay, that was fun. Now a draft, which you can't interview or really do anything for, is in 2 days.
Yeah.
It's good. I think it's going to be an absolute shit show, to be honest.
But if you'd like to, you can fall back on their incomplete college season of film.
Exactly.
To really round out your evaluation.
The other weird thing that's going to happen here is that people are going to try and trade away bad contracts at the draft because the cap is going to fall. Like all this basketball-related income is going to be shortened up quite a bit, and who knows if teams are trying to avoid the luxury tax that is now a lower number by trying to move on contracts. So
I know a couple teams that definitely will be.
One rhymes with the Nuggets.
But you know what? It might be. I wonder if it is an opportunity. Yeah, actually, hold on, what? I think it is an opportunity to, like, if you have deep enough pockets and you don't mind losing $20, $30 million, which, by the way, it's not really a loss because we know, like, the valuations, the equity it goes up. But if you're willing to lose a lot of money for 1 year, it might be really smart because there's some owners who don't have that choice. There's some owners that don't have the option to say, hey, you know what, one bad year on my books, it's going to look terrible, but I'll bounce back. Tillman Fertitta might say, you know what, I just have to get out of this. Here's 4 first-rounders so they don't foreclose on my casino.
Right.
So there might be an opportunity for a smart, deep-pocketed owner to say, you know what, let's do it this year. Let's go.
What happens when big market teams are going to be able to get everybody on cheap contracts because no one knows what this year holds? How many one-year contracts are there going to be?
Happen?
See, I do.
Well, here's the thing. I wonder with players, though, because there's something about like players don't like to sacrifice money first of all, unless it's the perfect situation. But then these guys, for the first time ever, are having money taken out of their paychecks.
Yeah,
and just how it is, TJ. If you're working a job and somebody tells you, and you're like, you know what, I could have had this better job, but I'm taking this one. And then halfway through that job, they go, oh, that pay you took a reduction on. We need another reduction because the economy tanked. I just think everybody gets into the mode of, I got to secure mine now. I got to this might happen again. And if it does, I want to be careful. So I don't know if all these athletes are going to say, oh, I'll take a discount to go to LA coming out of this. I think everybody wants money for a year or two.
But to TJ's point, like, do you sign this deal like when teams are spending less money, right? In a year where that cap is different.
Right. Right. Jeremy Grant has a $8 million player option for next year. I wouldn't be surprised if he picked that up.
Why?
I would. I still think that he's valued enough to not pick that up no matter what.
Because I just feel like there's going to be a lot of uncertainty with the free agent market this summer. And, like, nobody knows what the cap's going to be. And I feel like he just want to run it back and then just go into unrestricted free agency the next summer.
And then things are back to normal. We're undervaluing how these ratings are going to be when the league resumes. There's going to be a big boost of money potentially the year after because everybody is watching after it just stopped for the first time like this when no one was ready for it. There could be a big swing back up on the pendulum kind of idea, and that could also lead to bigger spending later on. There's a lot of weird layers to this that no one can really account for right now.
Mm-hmm. We miss everyone, Josh. Yeah, we miss you.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm just excited for the draft because the Nuggets have a pick this year.
Yes.
They did not have one last year, and they have a lot of guys up for free agencies too, so they could need to plug a bunch of holes and whatnot. And so this guy could actually be like a meaningful player. You know,
It doesn't matter though. They don't even need a pick. The Nuggets.
No, they do. They actually do. They actually do.
No, but last year they didn't have a pick, and somehow they had the most intriguing draft. Anyway.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Going into the draft, they don't need it. You never know.
Even without it, they will create something.
You know what's funny is if that was to happen this year, it would be LaMelo Ball, because 2 years ago it was Michael Porter Jr. It was like the big name that we just wrote off, like, oh, he'll never go to Denver. And then it was Bol, same thing, like we didn't even talk about him. So this year it would be LaMelo, like, oh.
Yeah, except LaMelo Ball is going to be like a top 10 pick though.
Yeah, but hey, Michael Porter Jr. was Bol was.
This is a
and
volatile
I'm not saying
draft.
He's not going to. I'm just saying in 2 years in a row now, we've just written something off as impossible, then it happened. So
is there like a top?
I'm not
prospect?
writing it off this year.
Is there like a top prospect that we could injure some way, like a Tanya Harding situation, from that he'll fall to and the Nuggets will have no problem taking him?
Not this year. No,
we got to bury this audio. This podcast is just
off the rails.
Yeah, no. What I was saying though, the Nuggets kind of do need this guy because the cupboard's a little bare for Denver. Like, to be honest, no Malik, no Wancho, no Vanderbilt. Like they just don't have that well of young up and comers that I feel like they had a year ago or 2 years ago.
Now, though, the counter argument, maybe PJ comes into a full-time role, Bol's a part of the team, so you're filling in the back end that way. But you're right. Like, at a certain point, you want to look to fill the end of your bench with cheap young guys, right? And the draft is a great way to do it.
But also, Vlatko's real here, right? Vlatko Cancar is a very important part of that piece, like a very team-friendly, cost-controlled, versatile wing that can fill it on the back of the bench. Like, this is the mold.
I'm not relying on Vlatko.
Well,
the 12th guy.
That's what we're talking about.
Well, I do say one thing because it was on TV yesterday, and I just seeing some of the clips brought it back to me. Not so sure. There was only 7 guys in Utah, but these 7 guys that it was, I think, is somewhat meaningful. I've always said this, when you give Jokic these types of guys that just play their role, Jokic gets to step up and be the main guy. And so, look, I'm Vlatko's TBD. But part of me thinks, like, you know what? Denver might just need 1 or 2 of those types of guys that can hit shots but aren't going to take them. They're only going to take 3 or 4. So, I don't know. There might be something to it. But I want to go to this, Harrison, because you asked the question a week ago on the DNVR, and me and Vote and you all answered. What role player could step into a larger role next year? And I didn't, for some reason, this player just completely skipped my mind, but it's PJ Dozier.
Yeah.
It's Eric's guy, PJ Composure. I actually, if I had to pick a mulligan on that, he's my pick. Now, I don't know if there's going to be a spot for him because, you know, Denver still has obviously Jamal and Monte. But he's a guy to me that I think I'd feel really good if he stepped into the backup point guard role. I could see him being a 20-minute-per-game guy next year if circumstances change.
Well, so I selected him for that roundtable, and here was my thinking. Who's the Nuggets' backup shooting guard right now? Troy Daniels? I mean, who knows if he's going to be around next year.
He probably
won't. Really, Will Barton or Torrey Craig. It's just that they're out of position at the moment.
But what if the Nuggets tried to play some Dozier, Monte Morris backcourt minutes together? And it's decent length. You know, with those 2 guys in the backcourt, Monte's shooting can kind of offset for Dozier's lack of shooting. 2 like lead guards, 2 strong ball handlers. Monte can, you know, bring up the ball. PJ's played a lot of off ball too throughout his career. I don't think that is like the best option, but it might not be the worst either.
I do wonder, though, if Millsap ends up sliding to the bench, you're really stretched thin for shooting. Because I know he's a high-efficiency shooter, but you can't rely on him for a high volume of attempts. So having Millsap, Monte, and Dozier on the floor, that's kind of worrisome from a spacing standpoint still, right?
If Bol's in that lineup, though, it changes a little bit.
Is
I know we don't know what to expect, and it probably wouldn't be right away. But.
No, yeah. I don't know. It's just a thought.
Why did you write it off entirely, Harrison, that Bol would not be there? I mean, I think there's a chance he plays next year. Maybe it's a slower process.
Right, works his way into that role.
Maybe it's more of like Michael Porter had he not gotten hurt at the end of January, where in January he played more and then he's part of it.
It's nice to identify.
I just don't see it. I mean,
you choke.
I mean, it'd be cool if he earned regular minutes. I just don't see it.
I know it's like nice to identify what we're all going to be mad about next year. Now.
I can't wait. I am so.
Let's do that podcast.
Not playing Bol at small forward. It's going to be a thing that is everywhere.
They never should have waived Gerald Green.
But you know what? PJ is a long boy.
Yes,
Facts.
he
The
is.
longest boy.
He's the longest boy actually in the backcourt. So he actually is, man. He has such a unique build.
And can we be
He's
honest? Is there
so
not a
thin,
realm
but
that they
his
can play
shoulders are this
small?
wide.
He can play some 3 if they played small, like Will Barton does.
Harrison,
I don't know.
if they ever ask you to write a Nuggets championship book, can you please title it "The Longest Boys"?
Oh.
Just want to get ahead of that now, so I see that on a shelf one day.
Yeah.
You see my
I'm
dad?
telling you, I just want to see what this looks like. Maybe in a summer league we'll get it. I guess we won't get summer.
No,
league.
we
No,
definitely
we're
won't.
not getting Summer League.
That's
Yeah,
another
but do
thing.
you know how
I'm-
fun
yeah.
summer league would have been with PJ Dozier, Michael Porter Jr., and Bull Bull? That's the long
No,
boys.
You think
wouldn't have
Michael
been
Porter
fun at
Jr.
all.
would have played at Summer
I
League?
do not think
One
Michael
game-
Porter Jr.
one
would
game
have
they
played.
would've-
Nah.
Oh,
I
come
mean,
on.
the-
One game they would
Way.
have played him. Oh, they
Nah.
would have definitely played him.
He
The
would
kid-
not.
Oh,
No
rotation.
way.
No way. No
Yeah,
That
way.
Coach-
man's back
you guys-
is made
you
of
guys-
plastic, and we think they're going to play him in a Summer League game?
Yeah,
more
no
more
way.
minutes
What
than
about
he'll
this
get in the
question is
regular
we'll
season.
never know. We'll never know.
We'll never know. We'll never know.
Another reason why I'm not sure
High
about
level players will come back.
yeah. Oh, I was gonna say another just reason I'm not sure about Bull for next year is because he's not gonna have like a summer potentially. Like what's gonna be the off season this year?
And
know?
you played 2 weeks in the G
This-
League. That's all we played this year.
Yeah.
Hey, man, maybe it's a good thing. Look, I don't want to overstate this Bull stuff because I don't know. But maybe forced to be in your house, like not being able to be out and whatever. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe this is like the summer where the Nuggets just say, okay, we're gonna. We heard Malone on the press conference the other day say, I don't want to be overbearing to my players. Well, you might be able to be overbearing to Bull, who's not making that much money and isn't actually in the league yet, to say, hey, man, I am calling every day. We're going to make sure we get this done and you're ready for next year. I don't know. Bull's just a talent. He's 7 foot. By next year, he's going to be 7'3". Might be the best shooter on the team. He's a talent. It's like Michael Porter to me. Is he going to be ready by next year? No. But do you need to start the process at some point? Just let's start ripping off the Band-Aid and put him out there at some point next year if he's anywhere remotely close to it.
If I'm moving on from Mason Plumlee, I still have Jeremy Grant, I still have Paul Millsap, so I can sort of experiment with some 3 bigs while I try to survive and gather data. If I'm trying to figure out how to fill that backup center role, it needs to be way cheaper than that Mason Plumlee deal, and why not get the gears started on a Bull? So
You might even keep a back center that's you just don't feel like you have to play. I mean, that's
Yeah.
Noah-
like
What
about Noah Vonleh?
Vonleh?
Noah Vonleh.
He's-
He's
Noah
fine.
Vonleh, exactly.
He's fine.
Did you know that
actually,
Noah
Noah
Vonleh?
Vonleh is actually good.
Did you know
I
that Noah
agree.
Vonleh has bigger hands than Kawhi Leonard?
What?
No way, really?
Did
I
you?
looked
Is that
at
a,
Because of the MJ stuff, I went and I looked at like NBA hand sizes,
love that?
and
too.
Noah Vonleh is on the list of like all-time NBA hand sizes, and I was shook.
Noah Vonleh's a
Man.
unit, bro.
Oh my
He's a
gosh.
unit. Absolute unit.
9.75 inches long and 11.75 inches wide. It is
The
a
wide.
half
Nothing
inch
to know.
wider than Kawhi Leonard's hand.
That's
I was
ridiculous.
shook.
Wow.
How are you just rattling off those hand sizes?
I
I just
That's
found it in a
ridiculous.
second. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm not that smart.
Well,
My phone is.
Vonleh, I think, is probably maybe too good, although maybe the circumstances now make it so a guy like Vonleh, I mean, we already knew that next year's center market,
Is there
teams
any-
needed a center, so
He also might be down. I mean, Vonleh has kind of been a bit of a journeyman. He's played in a lot of different contexts. He's sort of gotten his on bad Knicks teams. Like, he might be a guy who's at a stage in his career where, okay, smaller role, but a chance at a ring. I'm with it.
Is there any future for Keita Bates-Diop on this team?
I think so.
yes.
I think so.
Yeah. I
Well,
think
he's
so,
under
too.
contract, so I feel like he's
But, I mean, is
definitely
there
gonna
any-
be back next year.
Is there any
Yeah.
future for him on the floor?
He's a Michael Malone guy. Versatile, defends, rebounds, can do multiple different positions on the floor, and can fill in at any given point. Coachable, smart. I think he has a role.
Does it
Especially if
become-
Torrey Craig goes elsewhere, because Torrey Craig's contract's going to be up. Like, if he
And
goes
we're-
elsewhere, Keita is the natural guy to step into that role. in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Well, what about Troy? Will Troy Daniels log 1 minute in a Nuggets uniform?
Nuggets legend Troy Daniels.
Will he ever play a game?
I
for
don't
the
think there's
Nuggets?
going to be NBA this season, so I'm saying no.
Yeah, so I'm going to say no as well.
Yeah,
Vonleh's
I
interesting.
doubt
Would
it.
you guys rather have Vonleh at like 3 million, for, just a low number, 4 million something, or Plumlee for 1 year at like 8 million or something like that? I know the money to us doesn't make a difference, but I'm just saying for the flexibility, Plumlee's really good and he can play the power forward. We know he works with Jokic, but maybe you just don't need him. Maybe Noah Vonleh's the stopgap. I don't know.
I would rather have Mason at that deal, I think.
The only thing is, like, you get into the playoffs too, and you're working with probably a 3-man big rotation anyway. So, like, Vonleh is almost a guy that's just like, he's cheaper. He'll still help you in the regular season, but you're not phasing anything like in or out of your anything you're doing when you reach the postseason and he's kind of dialed back, you know? Whereas like Mason plays a big role in this team. And as it stands, we all think Malone has a big decision to make should those playoffs ever happen. So I wonder if you almost take that question out of his hands and just make it Vonleh.
Mm-hmm. I'd probably rather Vonleh if he's coming on a cheaper deal.
It's fair.
I'd probably rather Vonleh.
Vonleh can rebound too. This is the other thing. I've always said offensive rebounding is maybe the most important skill for a big, even including outside shooting. If you're going to play next to Jokic, I just think it makes sense. So it could be that Vonleh just dominates the boards. I mean, think about it. He can move side to side. We've seen him kind of guard LeBron and
he did. He didn't tell he absolutely did not.
Yes.
Well, he can move his feet like Mason Plumlee is what I mean.
Yeah.
Not great, but he's not going to be. He's not a total stiff.
Moves
but
like
man,
Plumlee.
he might just eat. Imagine like Marcus Morris trying to guard him on the rebounds. Like he's just going to beast that type of stretch four on boards every single time.
Yeah, I would
argue today. What's going on?
I would prefer Vonleh also because just offensively lower usage than Mason Plumlee.
I always get nervous when Adam gets to the end of a point and I don't have something to immediately say because if you don't say something immediately after Adam, he'll be like, "Oh, all right, well, I
can overtalk everybody. I'm just trying not to be that guy for one."
I know.
Mason Plumlee knows how to do exactly what the Nuggets do, which is unique. I think we're understating that. Like that's an important thing to have. And also, what if Jokic goes down for a month? Like, you really want to trust?
He's not going down for a month. Come on, the guy's an Iron Man.
Hold on, man. Hold on. I also I have issues with these, like this structure of this take because like then you're screwed. If your very best player goes down for a month, that is suboptimal.
But being less screwed than you could be is also important. Like I don't think that it's that binary.
It is important to be less screwed.
Because then you're talking about maybe like. You're saying TJ still getting into the playoffs versus not getting into the playoffs? Or
even like a 5th seed compared to a 3 seed. Like that's a big deal for Denver.
What's this swing though? Like 2.5 games? Like a Plumlee to Vonleh swing?
Yeah,
that seems
probably.
Almost dramatic.
But I mean, look at how the Western Conference has been for 4 years. Like we've all been here looking at exactly how close this is, where it's a game and a half. Like I do think that we undervalue what 2.5 games can mean, even though it is an 82-game season, because NBA basketball is just so much better than where it was. These teams are working together in a very, very different way to build a better NBA brand. I think the league is at a great spot. So I do wonder if those 2.5 games are a lot more impactful.
Jeff. I don't recognize him with that short beard either.
I want it back. I'm so angry, Jeff.
About a year ago, TJ knocked on my door and I opened it, and he had clean shaved his face, and like I truly didn't know who it was.
I didn't tell him I didn't either. Like I just knocked on the door
6
and
seconds,
appeared.
and I'm like, who is this man?
The weird thing about TJ's look now is that all the hair on his face is the exact same length. Whether it's on his beard, on his chin, on the top, he's got this is like a Floby job. Clearly,
it's like a Lego, just like exactly the same length.
A fantastically round head. It's very impressive.
I know.
We got some people coming in. Jordan Scott is joining.
What's up?
Hey man, what's
Jordan.
up?
Look at this.
I'm trying
right
to
out of his
improve.
shell. Yeah.
That was like a duck in danger, like in distress.
How do you think of this crap? I don't even know. Okay, sorry. Hi, Jordan.
Hello.
Jordan, what's happening?
So Jordan, we're deep in the off season, so much so that we're starting to talk ourselves into Noah Vonleh and PJ Dozier. Is this just? Are we just way too deep into the off season here, or
first off, we're not in the off season. We're not official.
The season is officially currently off right now.
We are deep into purgatory. Purgatory is the absolute best way to describe where we are.
But to answer your question, I honestly kind of agree. I think Noah Vonleh is a great backup center. Like he's the perfect type of guy for the Nuggets who don't need a lot from a backup center.
But what about the scenario that TJ presented, where you're trying to survive a month without Yoke? Does it matter if it's Vonleh or Mason at that point to you, Jordan?
I mean, maybe, but I don't know that the difference is worth the cost difference.
But can't your offense function a little bit in the same light with Plumlee instead of Jokic because he's got the passing ability?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, is it better to? So I mean, the Nuggets would just have to completely shift how they play with Vonleh. And
the thing is that Mace
I
stuff to
don't
me.
think that's true.
Yeah, I think that's
don't
all
think so?
theoretical. When Mace was signed, that was like the theoretical stuff, right? You've got
He
another
could- that
passing
man could
big.
pass. He could pass.
Yeah, but I just don't. They're not building. They're not doing anything around it. Sometimes he
Well,
just forces.
no, I know, but like he could at least like give you some proxy of what Jokic is. Like,
sure.
is that valuable, or would you rather have to just restructure how you're playing offense every time down with Vonleh?
I think you could figure it out. I mean, I think you've got enough high IQ guys that you could just figure it out. I don't think it's like worth keeping one or the other just based off of that.
Not to mention, Vonleh can pass a little bit. Like, okay, he's not like he's not like Plumlee, but he's first of all he's only 24 years old.
Yeah,
I think this part of it gets lost. He's really young. He's Jamal Murray's age, or Jokic's age, younger than Jokic actually. So he's a guy that I think can grow into a role that you can say, okay, operate from the elbows from time to time. But he's going to roll to the rim. He's going to rebound. He's going to lobs from Monte Morris. I don't know. I kind of like him.
Not to tank my own argument, but I think it's more important to have a pick and roll lob threat big on the bench than it is to have someone who can keep this pass happy offense functioning. I think that's more important.
But this question wasn't the second offense pretty bad this season, but they ran their offense totally different than the starters ran their offense. Like their offense went through Monte Morris. They passed off really quickly. Like, do you care? Do you want to keep the structure in place where you have the concept of a point center? Is the question. Should Jokic go down?
I don't think.
Like, should you?
No.
I don't think you
I don't
should. I think it's a bad idea.
No, I don't think you could. Nobody can do what Jokic can do.
Yeah.
I'm with Brendan on this. When you start talking about if your star player that is your engine goes down, what do we do? Nothing. You're screwed.
And also, the Nuggets' second unit offense was bad this year because for the first 2/3 of the season, they tried to play Torrey, Mason Plumlee, Jeremy Grant, Monte Morris together, and like those four just didn't work for whatever reason. So I mean, I would hope next year they come into it with already the plan to stagger things.
I'll never
based
forget
on how this year went.
I'll never forget Monte Morris being so open about the fact that they are significantly better off the bench when they play small. He was just like so clear about it in the locker room after a game when they had Mason Plumlee down. And it was just so revealing to me of how they would like to play and how they feel more comfortable with that bench unit, regardless of which small forward was in there.
Yeah.
Did you guys see on Instagram last night, or maybe it was Twitter, Paul Millsap was talking about 4 and why he wears it and why the number is important to him. And it made me think, like, all right, he's had 3 years with the Nuggets. He's like, if you look at my career, everything comes in 4s. That's why I wear 4, this or that. 4 years in Atlanta, 4. And so I was like, okay.
This is chestnut checkers stuff right here.
Hold on a second, connecting some dots here.
Oh,
One
yeah.
more
I
year
mean,
of Millsap. That's my prediction.
there's no doubt Paul wants to come back. There's no doubt.
I agree with this.
He
Also,
definitely wants to be back.
Our best evidence is when he was asked that question and he stated explicitly, "Yes, I would like to come back."
Yeah. He wants it
Well,
back.
no, I'm not trying to say that he wants to come. I agree, he wants to come back. But here's my question: is
that
at
it?
some point the Nuggets don't want him back, and there's a chance that point is now. Like, Paul Millsap's a really, really good player. He was on pace to play like 50 games this year, and he was on pace to play, I think, 24 minutes per game. That might be who he is. Denver has Bol. They do have Jeremy Grant. Maybe they end up with Noah Vonleh or somebody else. There might be a scenario where they say, we don't want you back, or hey, we just can't commit to you past 1 year because after that, I think our team changes quite a bit. I think there's a real chance for that.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to have to come down to. If Paul's like, all right, I want a 2-year, $15 million deal, and they're like, okay, we can only do 1 year, like, what happens then? No, that's probably the tipping point. Is Denver like, all right, what about a player option or a team option?
I want Tim Conley to come into the meeting and be like, your whole career, I just noticed it always comes down to 4s. The number 4 always comes up.
He's like, how
you
about
come
$4
back
million?
for
How
year
about
4
this? How about
for
this?
$4 million. That's what I was gonna say, $4 million.
How about Tim Conley walks into the meeting with a sheet of paper and on the contract it just says "One Last Dance." Let's do it one more time.
He does not have that swagger, man. To me, I can see Malone though coming up with one of those little like.
Let's just do it one more time, baby. Let's do it.
I
Let's just
suddenly
do it.
have this like
The last
sentimental
magic trick.
Yeah, like do it for Paul, man. The last trick.
For Headman P, man.
Now you see him. Now you don't.
This
The
one's
last
for
trick.
Paul.
But like he's
Dude,
gonna if he only plays one more year, he'll end out with the Nuggets at 3.75 years. We still need another quarter season out of this guy.
Oh God.
That's an Eric take.
We'll pay you for 18 games next year, but that's it. Is Eric's take right now?
Jordan, as a diehard Nuggets fan yourself, does Paul Millsap fit into your sort of vicarious relationship with this team, this Nuggets group? Do you care about Paul Millsap?
Good question.
Absolutely. Like I think has changed how they've played, but in a way that makes them a better team. And he's still good enough right now. I don't remember who it was, but somebody in the Nuggets world tweeted the other day that they'd rather have Paul Millsap next year than Draymond Green, and I don't totally disagree with that.
I agree with that.
I agree with that.
Yeah, he shoots way better. He's
shooting at a great clip.
Thing on defense, maybe not quite as effectively, but he does
For
it.
just one season next year, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
You know what we need? You need Draymond Green off the bench to play with Bol.
Let's just throw out
that's
all
the match made in
basketball
heaven.
traditionalism. Let's just get weird, man.
Let's get crazy.
Jeff is out here just
Call him-
crying watching us right now.
can you
Like,
imagine?
no.
We would call them Dre and Bobo. It'd be amazing.
Eric, I want to shoot you into the sun sometimes. I love you so much, but I just want to shoot you into the sun sometimes.
Yeah,
Adam,
you've
you weren't here. We've established that regardless of what I say, I'm going to be descended down upon by all of these.
You're
other
making
squares.
it easy. You're making it easy today.
Bobo and Dre. I'm doing it. I don't care. I don't need you people.
Can I take you guys on a tangent though? Because I was sort of a little, not really getting roasted, but I had some people like really upset about a take I had about Draymond. So Draymond had that thing yesterday. We talked about it a little bit about him comparing himself to Chuck or whatever. And I put out there, and this is central to how I think about basketball. I'm surprised. I think the only reason this take is controversial is because Twitter is hard to make the full case. But I made the point that being great at your role is more important than just like being great but not understanding your role. And what I meant by that was every championship team has a Draymond Green. The Warriors had two. They had Andre Iguodala and Draymond Green, and that's part of what made them so dominant. Finding players that are really good at something but then can also accept their role fully and totally is so valuable. And that was my only point. We often compare people and say, oh, Rudy Gay was a way better player than Andre Iguodala. I mean, just look at the points, look at the rebounds, look at the assists. And you go like, yeah, I mean,
I don't think
had to
anybody would
build
say
your-
that.
No, I'm serious. Okay, what about like Vince Carter, for example? Okay, so we'll say Vince Carter, like, he
Okay.
could be the number one on a team. Iguodala couldn't. We know that from enormous amounts of experience. But it's pretty hard to build around a superstar who's not quite above that level. Maybe Vince was at his prime, but just not quite above that level. Whereas if you get an Iguodala that just accepts his role, you only like that is so huge. Exactly, a Jamal Murray might be better than like a Mike Conley or something like that. But are they willing to take on the role that fits their skill set? And that's what I was getting at. Knowing where you belong in that ecosystem is just so important and so underrated.
For sure, and I totally agree, and I think that's actually something that a bunch of guys on the Nuggets have done pretty well over the last couple of years. Just know their role, like Monte Morris. He's
like
the
a really-
ultimate guy who just knows his role.
That's a really interesting dynamic of basketball in general, where it is the ultimate team game, but it's also driven so much by individual personality. And so there is that. Yeah, there's that weird like dichotomy where, like if you just add LeBron James, like your team is already different, good, and it can go places. But then also if you don't have the right, you can also like sort of get to a LeBron James level if you cobble together like Voltron, all these other pieces. People are willing to play their role, but that is because the NBA is more individually driven than any other league. Like NFL is not, because you never see their faces; they're always covered up by their helmets, and
That's why that
they also
Heat
have to rely.
Spurs series. That
Yeah,
Heat
they
Spurs
always-
series was the perfect reflection of what you're saying, right?
Perfect.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
LeBron.
yeah.
It's the
But
Heat
even if we
over
compare,
the furthest extension of what you're describing, Eric. Right? The Voltron.
Yeah.
I would even compare the 2013 Heat to the 2016 Warriors. If you just looked at those teams, you would say, okay, LeBron's better than any of them. Dwayne Wade's probably as good as any of them. Maybe Curry's better, whatever. But you can just start going down the line and be like, the star power with Miami was so strong.
Yeah.
But those pieces, and those guys accepted their roles, like Bosch and Dwayne Wade. They all figured it out. But they still weren't perfect for the roles they were being selected for. Like, you probably could have had a more narrowly focused player in Bosch's role that did just Bosch things. So, I don't know. That was my only point. Russell Westbrook is a super duper star.
Yes.
I would probably rather
This is the
have
perfect
Iguodala on
Yeah.
his money and on his whatever than Russell Westbrook on his money and building around.
Yeah,
him.
that is like a really interesting thing. Like, you are almost cursed by having a mid-level star because you can't.
Yeah.
It's
Like,
not
you
even
can't
mid
just
level,
put
to be
it
honest
down.
with you. It's like right below the top. It's not.
Totally,
because
and you
it's
can
weird to
only
think
rise
about-
to the level of that player. Like
if
they are
handed
running your team.
Like there's a 10 starter pack of superstars. LeBron's in there, Durant's in there, or whatever. But one of them's Russell Westbrook, or like one of them is Damian Lillard, even, who I think is incredible. But it's not the same thing as drawing a KD or a LeBron. Yet it costs you the same in your roster construction, and that's costly.
Yeah,
It's why I'm
like
so
Damian Lillard
fascinated-
can be shut down.
Yes, I'm so curious about this Nets team next year because Kyrie is the perfect example of this kind of player as well to me, is that he will only play his way. It's a feel, it's art, and it doesn't fit unless you're the guy, but is he good enough to be that level of star to ever make it work?
So what's also really interesting about the Nets is, so who comes out on the short list of coaches they want?
Yes.
Mark Jackson, Tyronn Lue, Jason Kidd. So here's what I love. I said this on Locked On NBA the other day with Anthony. The Nets were building around like the right way, the slow, smart way with all these prospects. They got great value, all these assets or whatever. They had Kenny Atkinson, a progressive coach. They've traded it all away for 2 stars, and now a coach that's like, okay, these guys have mixed results. We know what we get from them, but they're not going to be forward thinking. But you get the stars, the trade-off with it. And then the second side of it is, the KD went to the Warriors because he was sick of ISO ball and they want to be part of the team and everybody looks like they're having fun. He goes there, hates it. Now he's like, you know what? I'm going to go play ISO ball with a player's coach and we're going to do all the dumb stuff and I want to win. I don't think it'll work, but I love that KD is actually drawing a line in the sand saying, all right, nerds, game on. I'm going to show you.
Don't be bringing no grass in our conversation.
Mark Jackson is with the Nets. Come on,
the Nets
man.
are so
What a
funny, man.
hilarious
The Nets
story.
definitely had a choice of the blue pill or the red pill and took the red pill.
Yes,
the red pill.
100%. Oh, 100%.
They're like, we're going stars. They can pick the coach. Let's get J.R. Smith in here.
DeAndre Jordan.
Just
Just drink the
Crawford's got to be
Kool-Aid.
there, right? Jamal Crawford.
Oh, yeah,
Anthony,
Jamal
they wanna get
Crawford.
These guys, like,
And
all
the
guys
flip side
players
of this,
think we don't know
though,
about.
but I was going to go to Jordan with this. The flip side of this is, and yet after everything we just said, Jordan, you're in charge of Brooklyn, and someone's handed you the red pill, and you can have you're the Brooklyn Nets, and you can have Kyrie and Kevin Durant. You do it every time, right? Or do you?
Yeah.
Well, I would say yes every time until probably this week when I saw that list of coaches and then realized probably the best options they have available to them because no one else will want to coach that team.
Yeah.
No.
that's true.
I'm telling you, that's not what happened. That is not what happened. Those guys are expensive coaches, by the way. What happened was this is what they want. Kevin Durant wants a player. He wants Mark Jackson. These guys, players, we all laugh at Mark Jackson and talk about the crazy things he did. Oh, look, the Warriors were like a bad offense, and then Kirk comes in, and now they're the best offense ever. We laugh about this. Players don't. Kevin Durant said this himself last year. Yeah, that passing game is real fun and cute until you get to the second round of the playoffs. Then you need ISO ball. Kevin Durant does not buy the Warriors Kool-Aid. He's like, you know what? Give me Mark Jackson. Give me the ball on the wing. Everybody clear out, and let's do that for 48 minutes.
Well, I think a lot of what those guys have in common, those coaches they have available to them, is that they're not actually going to do a lot of coaching. Like, their job is just to handle personalities and let the guys do what they want to do. Like, I mean, Malone's a player's coach, but he still coaches. Like,
I agree, man.
That's what it is. That's all they have options for. Players will only listen to people who let them do what they want. So
I've told this anecdote on this pod before, but there's a media member who really stresses like Scotty Brooks always got so much hate for the way the Thunder operated their offense in crunch time. And this person said to me, do you think if Scotty Brooks had his way, that would be the offense they're running? He's not in charge. Kevin Durant's in charge. Russell Westbrook's in charge. And so when KD says, hey, I would like a Mark Jackson, KD is saying, hey, I would like to be in charge, you know? and that's that.
100%.
I mean, what's Ty Lue's entire MO from this point forward was that he was LeBron's guy that was able just to go in there and be his placebo and get his word across. That's what he did.
But you know what? The triangle offense isn't necessarily. It wasn't the only thing, and I would argue not even the main that made Phil Jackson a great coach. What made him a great coach was he understood all these things. And it's funny. I was thinking when we were watching The Last Dance how Phil Jackson took the circumstance and said, "Okay, it's us versus Jerry Krause. He used that to bring us all together." Well, if you remember, part of why Mark Jackson was fired in Golden State was because he pulled this very same move, but they didn't win, so we all talked about what a crazy person. Remember, Mark Jackson had meetings. Denver. He made Festus Ezeli cry in front of everybody because he had created this rumor that Festus Ezeli was like a turncoat. And he did why he did that, I don't know. It was a little crazy.
He literally staged a coup in the Warriors organization.
Exactly. Phil Jackson, we're basically learning that Phil Jackson did the same thing. That's my point. Is he was like, you know what? If we can turn this locker room against the world, it'll bring us together. Mark Jackson just maybe went too far and then didn't win.
He's like,
I'm gonna use the same level
of execution.
Festus.
I'm gonna start to use the same level of emotional manipulation within this podcast here and turn people it started earlier with my hat.
I'm gonna start DMing Jordan right now and be like, no, talk bad about the hat. Eric's hat is awful. Make sure
we're all just gonna turn against you though.
I think that already happened. That's my point. It's already I'm noticing that
you're our Jerry Krause, baby.
Can we talk about the fact that Jerry Krause did a somewhat decent job with that Bulls team and got absolutely eviscerated for it?
Thank you. We have.
He was an egomaniac and a complete psycho in a lot of ways, but he made a lot of very important decisions that led to that dynasty. So I just want to make sure that's on. I know you guys talk about it. I'm just making sure that's out there.
It's definitely out there. It was the nerds versus the jocks. It was Twitter versus the players or whatever. But back in 1998, it really was a Daryl Morey figure versus Michael Jordan, the most, the biggest basketball deity. I don't know. I think it'd be interesting. And then I always think to this Larry Bird quote where he said, "No coach, their voice always loses its weight after 3 seasons." Because when he coached for 3 years, and he said, "I'm done." No coach can last more than that. Obviously, some coaches have, but I wonder if the scale between where you lie, if you're more of an X's and O's coach or more of a just rally Phil Jackson type, I think those types probably have a longer shelf life. But if you're a system guy, I do wonder if that's a 3 years where the guys are like, "Hey, man, we gave the system a try. I'm sick of you telling me to get to this spot or that spot." I don't know. I just always think about that quote. I think there's something to it.
I think about that a lot, and this is just talking. I always wonder about that with Malone and the Nuggets this year, and there were times where it's okay, why can't they get up for these lesser teams? You know what I mean? Or why can't they get motivated? Or it doesn't seem like Malone's able to do this and that or this. And I just wonder. It's not anything he's done right or wrong. I just wonder if 4 or 5 years later, when Malone yells at you about defense, do you tune it out after a while? And that seems natural to me from the human condition standpoint, not just sports.
Yeah, I think the key is you always got to keep it fresh. You just need some new personalities in there. I feel like you just need some fresh faces a little bit, just to mix things up.
Luckily, it doesn't have to do with just the the new voice. I wonder. Remember George Karl when I had him on talked about every year I threw out the playbook and built it anew or whatever, and we'd keep pieces. I wonder if it's just that, hey, we're doing something really different this year that makes guys think it's new.
Also, luckily,
but it's not actually that much different. Yeah.
But also, luckily for the Nuggets, the entire assistant coaching staff changes out every season, so that probably helps. Their inability to retain any assistant coaches probably helps in this regard.
Just wait, Wes Unseld Jr.'s name is going to start popping up whenever coaching decisions are able to be made, and people start having that conversation. It's going to happen. But what I'm curious about is Malone a guy who connects with players, or is he more scheme? Because I feel like as his tenure with the Nuggets has gone along, he has slowly and surely moved towards the working with his players to be a camaraderie guy, as opposed to a hardline scheme, X's and O's, player development. This is how we do things.
I think they love him. I think if you asked him and you gave him truth serum, they would say, no, that's our guy. But I think it can be true that one can feel that way at the front of their mind psychologically, but at the end of the day, that motivation factor is just a little different. Not just Malone, but even between each other. So going back to Harrison's point about fresh voices, you certainly see the benefit of that.
This would be an interesting question for Malone. I don't know how he would answer it because it seems like very, he put somebody on their heels to ask a coach.
It's kind of attacking of a question for sure.
But I would almost wonder just like how do you approach that? Knowing that a coach's voice does get tired over time, how do you avoid that?
Right.
Would be an interesting one. 'Cause
Right.
I'm with you, Brendan. I think the players still respond to him pretty well. I mean, that's my read on things.
It did seem
Anything
to be
else?
having less fun last year, though.
What was that?
They didn't seem to
But
be
that
having
doesn't
less fun
necessarily-
last year.
But that
I don't-
doesn't necessarily have to do with Malone, though. I mean, I
Yeah.
think the circumstances. There's a lot that played into that.
And there's a lot of natural progression of just young NBA athletes becoming more professional in their approach to the game. It's not just like, I'm here, this is exciting, let's just go crazy. Like, there becomes a little bit more of a methodical nature to how you go about your career.
Yeah.
One of the biggest, not lies, but misconceptions about the NBA, I think, from people is that these guys are all best friends. And, like, when they get done with practice, they go home and they all play Xbox and then they have a sleepover and build pillow forts. It's just not like that, man. And I think a lot of these guys on the team do get along, and I think they enjoy themselves on the locker room. But look, man, over time, they do become coworkers. In some cases, they become competitors, right? I mean, let's not hide the fact that Malik Beasley was trying to take Gary Harris's money and time and everything else, and like you can love a dude. That's still in the back of your mind of like, why am I so nice to this dude? He's coming for me. So
didn't you ever see him
over time? There is something.
Didn't you ever see those clips of Gilbert Arenas just berating his teammates from the sidelines? And
That is a little bit of an extreme example in this
but
regard.
all the same,
Yes.
but all the same. I mean, that's like just that is a dynamic that does exist where it is a situation where you don't choose to come together. These are not guys you've chosen to surround yourself with, and
Unless you're
Adam
the Nets.
unless you're LeBron James.
Or how about Jordan in the doc, right? Saying, I went to the team captain, the best player, and I went right at him from day one. This is his teammate. So he didn't go to him and say, hey, what can I learn from you? How can I help you? He challenged his authority from the get-go. Now Jordan's an animal.
Funny though, man, is that Jordan, that works because he's Jordan.
Yes.
And he knew that before anybody else knew it. But you know how many guys walk in and go and right for the best player because they think they're the next
first
Jordan?
day of prison, right?
Like in the NBA, half of them think they're the next Jordan. I mean, Will Barton thinks that he's like a
100%.
superstar, just unrecognized so far. Like,
how many guys do you think like tried that with a Kobe, for example? Like, how many guys do you think came in and said, "Yeah, I'm gonna run LA. I'm gonna go right at him." I'm sure it backfired.
I ran these streets in New York.
Yeah,
there's a lot. I do love this though, because I love what Malone said to your question, Harrison, during the conference call. The quote that got so torn and twisted and shaken out of context that I was just unimaginable. But the way that Malone said, yes, I would love to have 14 Jordans in the locker room, but the idea that you can make players different than who they are, it's a farce. Like, not everybody can be Jordan, and nor should they try to be. And I think that that's an important part for your locker room as a culture-setting idea to be able to exist, that you don't have to be Jordan. You don't have to be even Isaiah Thomas when he was here. Be the best version of yourself. So that was a really interesting point from an old-school guy.
Man.
I agree.
Yeah, he's got a lot of those insights, man. Well, is there anything else? We're up about an hour here. Was there anything else we needed to attack today, guys, before we send people off into their weekend?
Besides Eric's hat again?
You already played the steps, right? You already once climbed and fallen off the steps, so unfortunately can't do it. But thanks for hopping on, brother.
Yeah, no problem.
Good to see you, man.
All right,
is that a bylaw of the steps? You get one opportunity?
Yeah, once every DNVR member has tried to climb the steps, you can try to do it for a second time.
We got to put like some kind of limit on it. Maybe once a month, once a quarter, something. I mean, look, guys, the steps.
I'm saying
rare air. Step one,
like bar games.
Step two. Step two. Only one person has made it. You don't get a chance every.
The early click person, the early clicker gets the worm. Like, if you want to come back in, like, other people need to step up and take the steps.
Should we put TJ through the steps?
Oh, I'm a snail.
100%.
I'm a snail.
Oh my god, I can't wait for this.
This is going to be so bad. I was not a Nuggets fan, so like this is going to go miserable.
We've been going through the draft and everything today, so like I'm a little out of sorts here. Oh my god, look at this.
All right, TJ, if you need any help, we brought TJ McBride on the show, so ask him.
Ask him any question.
Ask yourself.
Actually,
does that mean I get to Google?
We might actually have a new challenger. Hey, you're safe, TJ. You're safe. Because
thank you,
Chris.
Thank you.
Chris.
Oh, it's Chris.
He said he wanted
Fun while it lasted. He saw me and was like, "Nope, I'm out. This is not what I was looking for."
It's like
These are
wrong
not
Zoom
the
chat.
droid you were looking for.
Do you think that was like the Rob UK guy who said he clicked on it not knowing he was going to be on? Like, 'cause I didn't know what that was. I just
That's
clicked
me
it.
accidentally clicking into every Instagram live that is at the top of my Instagram throughout this quarantine and just being like,
he's
"Nope,
back.
not trying to do
He's
that."
back.
Hey!
Chris, are you on here on purpose or on accident?
Yeah, blink if you're in trouble, please.
I'm here.
Okay. Well, it's good to see you, man. Thanks so much for jumping on.
Thank you.
Are you ready to make an attempt at the steps?
To ascend.
I'll give it a go.
All right, let's give it
Let's
a go.
do
You've
it.
got good
First
news.
off, where's Chris coming from? Where's he talking to us from?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Chris
we
is
lost
no
him.
longer
My home office.
Where are you in Denver?
Yeah,
Don't
it's
be-
Colorado, Pete, man. Oh,
Eric throwing this thing sideways.
Oh, no.
no, we lost you, Chris.
I think
Yeah, we
Chris
got-
is muted.
Chris is
Mute-
muted.
He's muted himself.
Oh yeah, you just muted yourself, Chris.
Oh,
there, I
no.
unmuted. Oh, now you
There
he
I
is.
unmuted you. There you go.
There you
Okay,
go.
we can hear you now.
All right, step one.
All right.
Let's do this thing.
Are you up? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm ready.
Let's do
Okay.
this.
All right.
All
Okay.
right, let's do it. All right, here we go. Question. Oh god. Question number 1. What Nuggets player has the nickname Joker?
I think that's a guy named Jokic.
That is correct.
I think you're correct.
Hey, don't think these are too easy. Everybody thinks they're easy for a second, and they regret it. Who led the Denver Nuggets in rebounding this season?
That would be the same guy, Jokic.
Wow, this is easy. All the
Wait,
answers
hold
are
on. Is the answer
everyone.
to every one of these questions?
I know.
It's gonna
I
be
would
Yeah,
love
no,
that. That
hardest
would be good.
question there.
It's either Jokic or Alex English.
Exactly.
Which Nuggets player has the nickname Big Honey?
It's he's from Sombor. I can't remember. I think his name is Jokic.
All right, let's see how long I keep this going.
There's going to be a Kendrick Williams.
The problem
question
isn't
next.
that
I
the
know it.
problem. Yeah, the problem we've run into now is that that's all the things about Jokic that there are. There's no.
Earlier this season, immediately following the trade of Malik Beasley and Juan Hernangomez, an extremely shorthanded Nuggets team defeated the Utah Jazz in Salt Lake. How many players were active for that game?
I like that question.
Can TJ help me with this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What are my rules on helping? I don't even know how
You
this
can
works.
you
He
provide the
has to
answer,
Tell him.
Oh, I
and he
provide the
decides-
answer?
and then he
It
decides
rhymes
if
with
he wants
11.
to take it.
It's 7. I don't know.
So the
don't
Magnificent
tell them.
7 game I thought was the Milwaukee game.
No.
No.
It was the Utah game?
The Utah game.
Mm-hmm.
All right. 7.
7. All right, we did it.
That really should have,
All right,
by
so-
all rights, been the 7th question, Adam.
Well, so now you just want a sticker pack. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Chris. You
Do
can't
you
have
want
it
to
though.
risk it all? Try to get 5 more right and win a T-shirt.
I have stickers.
Nice
Oh,
flex. Nice
the
flex.
flex.
Oh.
That is a nice
Like
flex.
you're
All right.
done with stickers in life now. No more
I've done
stickers.
Oh, he's taking off the sweatshirt and he's got the Die Hard shirt on.
Wow,
The
incredible.
flex is so real.
All right. Which current Denver Nuggets player has a tattoo of Squidward on his leg?
That would be Bobo.
Full
That is
square, baby.
correct.
That would be correct.
Man,
He's coming for that top spot.
Oh wait, now we're on 7. We're actually on 7.
Do the animation for me, please.
The Denver Nuggets do not have their own first-round pick in the 2020 draft, but they have acquired one from this team.
TJ, that's Washington, right?
I believe so.
Right? Wasn't that part of the? They made the trade.
It's a 4-team deal, and I can't remember what team it came from. I think it was. I believe it was Washington, but I could definitely
Right when they
be
got
wrong.
McCray. Let me think on it.
take all the time.
It wasn't from
God, how do I
Minnesota,
not
right?
remember this?
It wasn't a first round pick from Minnesota. I think it was from Washington.
No, because it's not a lotto pick. It's from Houston.
Oh, Right, the three-way.
19th pick? I don't remember. Good luck. I'm sorry. I think it was Houston. I don't remember.
I'll
I'm
go
sorry.
with TJ. That way I can blame him if it's wrong.
There you go.
That's the best policy.
Washington or Houston, Chris?
I'll go with Houston.
That's right. Yep, that's right.
Hey!
Oh, so close.
I
Almost got you.
Gerald Green in a first-round pick
That's
from
All right,
Houston.
We're going old school. I don't know if TJ is going to be able to help you on this one. What college did Dan Issel attend?
Yeah, I have no idea. Don't ask me this.
Oh,
School of Hard Knocks.
man, my son would know.
Wait, your younger son has more knowledge about Dan Issel than you do?
My son knows everything about NBA history, and he quizzes me, and I get stuff wrong all the time.
Should have paid attention. Should have paid attention.
So I know he was with the Kentucky Generals. Maybe. TJ, any guesses?
I have no guesses. This is so beyond my understanding. Yeah, I have no idea.
I know this one. For
No
once.
way. Don't believe
Really?
it.
I did not know this one until I just looked it up.
I'm looking it up right now because I'm curious. Oh, I was right, Mike.
Get him out of here, TJ.
We gotta guess, Chris.
I'll go with Kentucky. I think it's wrong, but I'll go with Kentucky.
I can't believe these guesses. I can't
Unreal.
believe these guesses.
I can't-
Unbelievable.
I can't either, to the point that I'm now convinced Chris is cheating. I'm going to look closely at his glasses just so I can see if anything is reflecting in the lenses.
Amazing.
All right. Which team defeated the Denver Nuggets 186-184 in the highest scoring game in NBA history?
I think that was Detroit. TJ, you want to weigh in on this?
That's what I remember as well, but again.
Yeah, I think it was Detroit.
Oh
We're
my
there.
gosh.
We're at the doorstep. We're right there. We got a
That
big
is
one.
Machine right now.
Is this the
Okay.
t-shirt question?
This
Yep.
is the T-shirt question.
Oh,
Nice.
wow.
Wow.
Well, hold on, Chris. Are you done with the t-shirts also, like you are stickers?
No. He has to answer this.
Hey,
one.
whoa,
I
whoa,
want to know, like,
I have t-shirts
wanna know
I don't
the
have.
feeling on the prize going into it. So
There's a couple
we
of t-shirts
understand.
I don't have.
Okay.
Okay. Monte Morris spent the 2017-18 season in the G League. What team did he play for?
He played for Houston's G League team. TJ, you remember the name?
Rio Grande Valley.
That's it.
Vipers. Yeah.
Yeah.
My goodness,
Oh.
these guys! Unbelievable!
Wow.
Hey, give me G League info all day. I can do this for you.
Oh. All right,
You want to talk about Eastern European prospects? I'm here
Do they
for
have to
you.
s-
You want to go to
do
history?
TJ
Nothing.
Did
Right.
Chris
Chris,
and TJ have to
two
split the
days in a
shirt?
row, guys. We're getting soft on everybody. We're getting soft if we're letting people.
Seven
win
of
by
the
questions.
answers were Jokic, Adam.
No, the first three in a row. Were
I like to
All right,
think
Chris,
that our
congrats,
members have
man.
just been going home and studying up on Nuggets trivia every night.
Chris, you have one DNVR shirt, which you can keep, or you can risk it all, get 5 more right, and earn a lifetime subscription to DNVR.
I also, like yesterday's guest, already have a lifetime subscription. But I will keep playing because it's more fun, and then maybe we give it away.
I like it. I like
I
it.
feel-
What a great answer.
I feel a little offended that nobody wants it.
Let them give out the membership. Lordy.
All right, number 11. Pepsi Center's address is 1000 Chopper Circle. Who is the street named after?
Former equipment manager Chopper.
God,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Could you just yeah, I would have been like Chopper.
You know what? Screw it. We're counting it. There we go.
Yeah, well, he knew that-
Travellini.
yeah, he knew it was
Chopper
the equipment
Travellini. He
manager.
knew the equipment manager. If he didn't know that, I don't
Absolutely.
know if I could let it slide. All right. In 2015, the Denver Nuggets fired Brian Shaw. Who did they have replace him as interim coach?
I know this one if you need help.
Yeah, I have a couple names in my head, but TJ, if you could help me out.
It was Melvin Hunt.
Oh, I didn't. That wasn't one of the names I had in my head. Melvin Hunt.
Man, TJ
Oh my
turned out to be
gosh.
the
Very
perfect helper
valuable.
here.
We thought Jeff Morton
It's
was
the
going to
coffee. It's the coffee. Folger, sponsor me. I'm here for you.
We thought Jeff Morton was going to be the ultimate companion, but he sunk his player. So
He stopped in the 98 season though. So
3 questions to go, man. This is exciting. Okay, number 13. How many triple doubles did Nikola Jokic have this season before it was canceled?
That's a good one.
turns out there is another question about Jokic.
Yeah.
There's another thing to know about Jokic. And just so you know, Chris, if you get this wrong, you actually lose your lifetime membership.
I hate when that happens.
it's a money pit. This DNVR.
We didn't really explain these rules very well, clearly.
TJ, 14 seem about right to you?
I was thinking 12 or 13, and I can't remember.
Yeah.
I don't think it was 14. I think that's too high.
14 seems like too many.
I was going to
I'll
say
go with-
12, but
I'm going to go with 13.
not my fault.
Oh!
Was it 12?
It was 12. Oh! TJ, man, you can lead a horse to water.
Sometimes you get lucky, man. It's almost like I do this for a living.
Yeah, you did pretty well there, bro. That was a
Dude,
good show.
hey, you know what though? Major shouts to Chris for risking it all.
100%.
I like that. I like the spirit of this. It's crazy that we've had a handful of people on already who are lifetime.
Our members are such good
subscriber.
people,
Really-
man.
Our members are
Unbelievable.
Such good
incredible.
people.
And I'm with Chris. The shirts aren't that great. I mean, to be fair, the designs are kind of whack. The artist who makes them is not that talented, so it's not that valuable. I'm with Chris
And
on
he
that.
wears
but-
terrible hats. Terrible hat.
Well, fine, come on. All right, we've gone too far now. We've gone absolutely too far. This is a stylish hat. Golf courses are going to be open again. That's why I
And
wore
PE
this.
certified.
Absolutely ridiculous. Well, thank you
It's
so
for
much to everybody.
WGT, this hat.
Thanks to everybody that participated today and all week.
I'm
Guys,
rocking
this is
the
week 2
visor.
Of our show. I don't think the show's going anywhere, man. This has been a lot of fun. So obviously, all quarantine we're going. I don't know if we're going to let it go after quarantine. I just have too much fun with it. So thanks, everybody. Tell your friends about it. Let them know. Let them know about DNBA. And then don't be shy. Hop on. We love talking to you guys. So don't be shy. Hop on. Have a conversation. TJ, thanks for joining us, man.
It was
Much
my
love,
Thanks,
pleasure,
TJ.
guys. It was great to see your faces. Be safe, everyone.
Miss you, bro.
Hey, TJ, screw you. Screw you. It's a great hat.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Have a good one.